Let's take a couple minutes to talk a little bit about how we use text inside of Flash. I'm going to click on File, I'm going to click on New, and I'll make a generic ActionScript 3.0 document. In here, what I want to do is I want to be able to use the Type tool to create a block of text that we can use inside of the Flash project. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click and release, and let's talk about what we can do inside of the text tool. You'll notice you have a blinking cursor and you have a little handle all the way in the corner that allows you to be able to extend and contract what we're working with. But for the most part, you don't necessarily need it. You can just kind of click and release and start typing. However, this will cause some problems. Watch this. This is an example. Where is the text going? Where is the text going? Right? I don't know where it's going. It's going all the way over there to the left. So I'm thinking that has a lot to do with the paragraph section here. See? It's set to align to the right. So all of this stuff that you can find obviously inside of the property section. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch this to the left, and I'm going to drag my text over to the stage, over to the right-hand side of the stage. Notice that the text is kind of flowing outwards, so it doesn't have any kind of control over where we want it. So clicking and releasing will give you that. If you click, though, and you drag out a box, this gives it a bounding area where the text, let's see, where the text will be able to reflow correctly. You can adjust size and spacing on the properties panel on the right. Now, let's take a look at how we do that. Here we have a text box, right? And it's automatically reflowed based on what we dragged out. This is one type of text that you can use inside of Flash called static text. Now, the static text just pretty much takes the font that you have on your computer and uses that so that you can create a specific type of design. All of that stuff is modified in here inside of the character and the paragraph panel. So you'll notice that I'm using a Montreal LH font. And if you click on the drop down, there's a variety of different, actually, you know what, let's do this way. Bring it over here so you can kind of see it. Right, come over here and there's a variety of different fonts that you have available for you to use that are sorted by family. I'm going to go ahead and drag my properties back in here, and notice that you have paragraph stylings as well. You can center, you can write, you can force a justification. You can also control the spacing at the top, right, for an indentation. You can control line height. And these you can either type in something or you can just kind of scrub them to be able to do stuff. They get a little bit more control. I think it's kind of cool. You can change margins, and you can change the left or you can change the right margin. So there's a lot of different things for you to be able to do. Now, here's a couple things that I think are pretty decent. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to highlight my text. I'm going to bring it here and just drag it up. And size. I love the fact that you can control the size like this. Right, makes it a lot easier. Love the fact letter spacing. Right. Track out, tracks in. So that's kind of cool. The color can be controlled here, right? If you want to be able to change the color, you can do that. And then you have different modes for anti-aliasing or the smoothing of the font as it appears on the stage. You can either use no anti-aliasing, a specific amount of anti-aliasing that you want to use for animation, for readability, or a custom anti-alias. These sections down here can also scrub as well as type in a specific value if you need them to. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this back over to black, and I want to show you something that I thought was really cool inside of Flash CS4. Let's just say in here I'm just going to type in, click here to go to Google. We have the option to be able to highlight a piece of text now, and under the options menu we can go ahead and we can type in a URL link, which I think is pretty cool. Watch this. Turns it into a link. Click on that, brings up a website. So that's pretty cool, you know, to be able to add that kind of stuff. That makes it a lot easier. So that's fun. Now we have this set up. There's our Google. We can pop it into a new browser, or we can pop it into itself. So that's all right here. We have orientations, right? Left to right, right to left for that. And we can apply a specific amount of filters to the type. So if I just kind of twirl these up so you can see what I'm going to do here, I'll just go ahead and I'll select a, looks like it's not letting us. I just want to make sure that you guys can see something here. I'll drag this out a little bit. Now, I'll go ahead and I'll trash this one just to kind of show you again. So here I have the box, right? And what I want to do is I want to add this filter. So I'm going to click on this new one here. And let's just say that I do a drop shadow. Not bad, right? We can change the strength by twirling it up or twirling it down. That kind of gives it a little bit of depth. So that I think is pretty cool. Static text is what we're going to be working with predominantly inside of this course. You do have different types of text options, right? So you have the text option that's just regular static text. You have the option to be able to use dynamic text, which is going to read information from a separate page or a separate file, and input text that you would generally use when working with, let's say, form inputs. Now, other things that you have the option to be able to do here, when you have this highlighted, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring up, let's see, I'll bring up the character section. So we have some selectable text, whether or not you want the text to be selectable. Take a look. Right now, it's not. I can close that. But if I set it selectable and then I preview this again, now people can copy and paste information from here. So different additions that you can do to this to be able to make it a little bit better. Lastly, you can take information like text and you can break it apart to be able to do specific effects. So let's just say we'll call this, let's see, we'll call it about RC design. And so we have that set up that way. Now it's a block of text that we can do stuff with. If we wanted to, we can do a right click and we can break this apart. And now we have individual letter components that we can do stuff with. We can also highlight all of this, right click, and then distribute each of those components to layers so that we can do any kind of complex animation. For the most part, that's pretty much what you're going to deal with when you're working with text inside of Flash CS4.